Good evening, and welcome to another episode of our Controlled Ish Chaos podcast. I'm Kyle,
I'm Kayla.
and it's been a week. We've had Ninja this week.
We went to the pet store.
We had a spring/winter storm.
As usual, it's pretty typical for March in our area.
I even had an unexpected day off.
We never get those.
So let's dive into it and get this rolling. Would you like to start by telling me one of the harder things that you had to deal with this week?
Your daughter needed pizza every day this week for dinner because it's one of her top 3 foods that she'll actually eat with some regularity.
Yeah, sounds about right. So, how did you give her the news that she wasn't having pizza all week this week?
Bluntly and straightforward, and then I just kind of had to deal with the messy ensuing tantrum after that.
How bad was this one?
Well, it started out with a complete and utter shutdown, and then I tried to tickle her out of a tantrum, and she just fucking lost it.
Sounds about right. What was one of the easier things you had to deal with this week? I shouldn't say deal with. What was one of the easier moments you had this week?
Rain. I can't say your daughter, there's 4 of them. Rain came downstairs with building blocks in her socks, trying to basically use them as high heels.
That sounds like something Karina would do.
Well, I mean, she had to have learned it from somewhere.
So, yeah, how'd that one go?
Oh, that was a swift blocks out of socks and back to the toy box.
Okay, Dr. Seuss.
Listen, I try. So, what was your most interesting parenting moment for this week?
One of the more interesting parenting moments I had was when I came home from work and I'm backing into the driveway and it's already dark, and I get halfway up the driveway, and through the dirt in the backup camera, I see this bright white plastic sled. So I was like, okay, that wasn't there when I left this morning. Somebody obviously left it in the driveway. I'll go around it. So I back around it, and on my way around, I get this distinct thunk sound on the bottom of my car.
The you fucked up sound?
So I'm like, oh, great. What was that? So I back up and get in my spot, and don't you know it, one of the kids left their pogo stick also on the edge of the driveway. So that was fun.
You mean the pogo stick she got for Christmas this year?
Yes, the pogo stick that she got for Christmas and had been told multiple times throughout the week that she needed to make sure she picked up when she was done with it.
Yeah, that sounds pretty on par for this house.
Yep.
Now, how about your more simple, happy parenting moment?
That one, honestly, was probably another time when I came home from work and I come into the living room and I sit down and Karina walks up to me and she goes, "Here, Dad, here's the remote. You can find something for all of us to watch." And she gave me the remote, and then she crawled up and sat down in my lap and waited for me to turn on some cartoons, basically, for all of us to watch.
You're doing better than usual then, because normally that could have handed you the remote, but she's got the other remote in her other hand, and she's just waiting to have a remote war.
Usually it's just a battle. I'll take a remote, and I'll start to turn something on, and then that kid will start frantically giggling like a hyena and start changing it back to whatever it was she was watching, and she just giggles and laughs, and yeah, it turns into a whole epic battle until I finally go over and take the other remote from her.
And that's how the remote ends up on the floor behind the couch.
No, the last time that happened, that was you.
I did not do it.
Yeah, you knocked it over.
Yeah, but why was it there in the first place? Remotes don't belong on the back of the couch. Well, especially not when your couch is a sectional that requires 2 people to move.
It shouldn't be in the couch. Then it gets lost either way.
It should be on the table, really.
Yeah, but then Karina takes it, and then, again, remote battle, and it's a whole epidemic.
Well, normally we keep the spares in the sock drawer, so...
There's still one there, but it's not. It's a generic... How many do you
have now?
How many remotes?
Yeah.
That would be 3 remotes. We got the first one because, well, it came with the TV. Then we went and bought a generic one because that one disappeared.
And the
And
TV got put into demo mode and you can't get it out without a remote.
it disappeared. It got put in a demo mode, and we were 95% sure that Ira threw it away.
Yeah, I remember that Ira was in a stage where she was just throwing away anything and everything.
It didn't matter. Plates, clothes,
Silverware,
everything.
shoes, diapers, hats, and gloves. It did not matter.
Lollipop wrappers. She would throw those away,
She was
but
really good at
there's a
that.
whole collection of stuff that came with it. But yeah, so we ended up getting the Universal one, but it didn't have half the buttons. So then we're like, oh, we'll
Yeah,
order
'cause we have
another.
a smart TV, and you can't buy a universal remote for a smart TV. That doesn't work.
Right, so we're like, we'll buy another one. We buy that one. It shows up in the mail, and the other one turns up. I don't even remember where.
It was behind the TV.
Yeah. I was gonna say I know it was someplace stupid, but I couldn't remember where.
It was behind the TV stand. Like, one of the kids had put it on the back of the TV stand to hide it from the rest of the kids, and then it got knocked down behind there, and there was other stuff back there, and nobody noticed or thought to look there.
Yeah. So, if you could please tell me about your trip to the pet store.
Well, would you like to know all of it, or just the hilarious part?
Give me all of it.
So, we dropped the big girls off at Ninja. And I didn't really want to go into Ninja and have the little girls fussing and crying to get out of the stroller, because I made a mistake when we were doing private lessons at the gym, and I would let them get out of the stroller and run around like crackheads.
Yeah, that's a big mistake, especially since they like doing ninja as well.
Right. Well, it was fine when we were doing private lessons because we were the only people in the gym. Now we're doing regular lessons with a whole class full of kids and all of their parents that hang out in the waiting area. So I can't just let the babies loose and terrorize all these parents trying to play tag running in circles. So I decided that we would go for a walk because their gym is in a big plaza. And it's got, different pods of stores that you can check out.
Right.
So I start walking, and I'm like, maybe I'll go check out Costco, because we don't have a Costco membership, and I've been thinking about getting one. Well, we got halfway to Costco, and it is basically the snow version of downpouring. Just these big, heavy, wet flakes that melt as soon as they touch you. Like, they don't even try to be pretty snowflakes. They're just fat heifer snowflakes. Like, they are just...
Straight up heavy blizzard snow.
Yes. So I'm like, this is not going to last long. And it wasn't even really that cold. It was like 38 degrees out, so it was right bordering on raining. And it just couldn't. So instead of walking all the way over to Costco, which in truth really isn't that far, but it was far enough that I didn't want to do it, we went into PetSmart. PetSmart? Petco? I don't know, one of the pet stores. And I was like, wow, there's dog toys in 3 different aisles here. Let's go see if we can find the dog a rope. Well, we get into the dog toys aisle, and Karina picks out a rope, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty good. It's $9.99. Usually for those big-ass ropes, because we have a German Shepherd, if you don't get the big one, he'll just eat it. They're usually $17, $18, $19, $20, They're pretty expensive for something he's going to destroy in a few days. So I was like, $10, that's pretty good. Took a picture, sent it to you, because you're frugal and you want to know where the money's going.
That is true. It drives me bonkers when it's like, all right, you be in charge of money, and I'm just going to go spend it and not tell you that I'm spending it.
Anyway, I took a picture of the rope, sent it to you because you're pretty frugal. You want to know where the money's going. And I just thought it was a pretty good price. Like I said, you don't typically find a rope that price. So I picked it up, gave it to Karina, said, here, hang on to this. Because she was already antsy. She wanted to get out. She wanted to walk around. She didn't want to be in the stroller. So we carry this rope all over every corner of this store. We looked at the fish. We looked at the birds. We stopped and looked at the furry little ferrets. Ira was in 7th heaven. She thought all of this was great. Karina was very uninterested in anything that was not a rainbow fish. She was all about the fish and didn't want to see any of the rest of it. Until we got to the creepy crawly shit. We get over to the lizards and the snakes and the bugs, and she's like all about it. And I don't know if we had gotten there just after it was feeding time or what, but there were frickin' crickets in every single reptile or creepy crawly enclosure. And I was like, this is disgusting. Like, I walking through the aisles, wiping myself off, like just heebie-jeebie style. I'm like, this is gross. I finally get them wrangled out of the creepy crawly aisle and back to the fish. And I'm like, all right, we're done with the bugs. That tarantula was bigger than my head. We're done with the nasties. We're looking at the fish, and Karina starts getting antsy again. So I'm like, all right, we'll go look and see if there's a dog bed that doesn't cost, an arm, a leg, and your firstborn child. There was not, for reference. There was not. But while we're over there, I'm walking along, minding my business, and then I happen to look down. There's a fucking cricket just loose on the floor, not in a cage, not in a container, not in a nothing. I'm just like, oh, so grossed out. I am now frantically wiping myself down, stomping my feet. I cannot deal. I don't do bugs. So gross. No.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Marnie about that.
Ugh.
They both thought it was hysterical.
It wasn't.
But
It was not funny at all.
do you know what the best part of the whole conversation with Marnie was?
What?
She looks at me and she goes, Dad, did Mom tell anybody that cricket was out? I was like, probably not. She's like, well, how is anybody going to adopt that cricket and take it home if they don't know it's out? And I didn't have the heart to tell her that it was food. But Rain chimes in and she goes, Marnie, you really think someone's going to adopt a cricket? And I'm like, there we go. There's a kid with sense. And she goes, do you really think anyone wants to wake up to that in the middle of the night? And I was like, oh, there it goes. Bye-bye.
It was there. We had it for a second, and then it was gone.
Yeah.
I could not even muster the courage to stomp on the thing. I literally was just... The only motion that I could manage was to wipe myself off and walk away.
Yeah. And what's the story with the pink sandcastle?
Oh, yeah. So, your kid didn't really realize that the pet store was for the pets, not for her. She saw a pink sandcastle while we were looking in the fish department. You know, the kind that are meant to go in the fish tank.
Yeah.
The kind that, you put the rocks underneath it and all that business, and the fish hide in there because your big ol' eyeballs are sitting right in front of the tank. Yeah. She wanted one. She goes, we need to go get a pink sandcastle. And I was very confused at first because by the time she said something about it, we were already back into the reptile nonsense. And she's like, no, we got to go back to the fishes. And I'm like, what do we need in the fishes? And she's like, well, the pink sandcastle. I'm like, what pink sandcastle? So, not really realizing what I was doing to myself, I was like, all right, let's go look. Well, there was my mistake because we got back over there and it's like a $17 pink sandcastle that's supposed to go in a fish tank, and this kid is insisting with every ounce of herself that we need to buy this and take it home for her. And I'm like, what are you going to do with it? She goes, I can sleep with it. And I'm like, you cannot sleep with a sandcastle in your bed. It's bad enough you sleep with a Barbie unicorn in your bed.
I was going to say, she already sleeps with a hard plastic,
Barbie
bright
unicorn.
pink unicorn. Like, it's such a hard plastic, the legs don't even move. It's stuck in the position that it's in.
It's like molded plastic, not like Barbie where she's a little bit soft, you can move her around. No, this is just a solid plastic unit, and this kid insists that she needs to sleep with it. For a little while, she was taking it everywhere. We went to the grocery store with this damn thing. Ridiculous.
Speaking of Saturday, while you were gone getting your nails done up, your
I got like a couple of whole uninterrupted hours with no kids and no husband. It was great. Continue.
Do you know what your daughter tells me?
Well, which one? There's 4.
That would be Karina. We get on, we turn the TV on, and we go...
It's only my daughter when she did something crazy.
And we go to watch Clifford. And out of the blue, they pulled it off the streaming service. You can watch the trailer. We were halfway through the movie. We couldn't finish the movie. I was like, what in the world? Why would they do this? So I get on there and I look, and Karina goes, Dad, we got to watch it. I said, we can't. They took it off. She goes, well, the POP man needs to bring us a new big red dog so Mom can be happy. And Mama's got to buy it online so that we can all be happy.
Would you like to explain what the POP man is?
That would be that you have such an expensive online habit.
No.
Yes.
No.
That with all of your online shopping you do, the kid associates squealing brakes. Like that almost drum brake squeal, that squealing brake noise of a delivery truck with mom ordered something. The POP man is UPS.
Or FedEx, depending on the day.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's the POP man, and he drops everything at the house. 6 to 7 days a week, there is a truck that comes up or down our road to drop
Walmart
something off.
deliveries show up on Sunday. I'm
It
not sure why, but I'm not complaining.
it doesn't matter if it's for our house or the neighbor's house. That kid will be sitting there, stationary, watching TV, and she'll hear that
Just kind of like a dog.
of brakes, and all of a sudden, boom, POP man, what's he bringing me?
Yeah.
He's bringing something from mom. I said, I don't know what you're talking. And then you'll see him drive by, and you're like, kid, your mom's got a problem.
My favorite is when it's garbage day and she hears the brakes of the garbage truck and gets really disappointed when it is not the POP man.
Yeah. Speaking of Saturday morning, I went in the kitchen and started making myself hash browns.
That was your first mistake.
And,
Thinking that you were making yourself food.
and Karina comes in, and she goes, I want a hash brown. I said, well, you're in luck. I put 2 in the pan. She goes, no, I want my own. I said, that's fine. I will give you one, and you can have one. She says, okay, and walks away. So I get done cooking my hash browns, and I put one on one plate and one on the other, and I take them in the living room to sit and eat. And I cut Karina's up for her, and Ira comes strolling along and demands my hash brown. I start cutting it up, and she stole the whole plate and walked off.
Yep.
So I made some breakfast for myself. My 2 youngest kids took it, and I had to start over and go make some more.
Well,
And
that's why we feed
Rain
the
walks
kids
in,
first.
and then Rain walks in and goes, I want a hash brown. I said, listen, I've already lost 2. You're on your own. Go talk to mom. Like, she'll make you some because I'm done. I've already lost 2.
The problem is you didn't put them in the air fryer. If you would have put them in the air fryer, you'd have had 15 minutes for them to forget that you were making hash browns.
No, they don't forget. When it comes to food that they'll actually eat, they don't forget.
Karina ate a whole hash brown, every single speck off of her plate for dinner tonight.
I know. That's crazy.
I know. Usually she leaves the rest to test the dog. Can we just talk about the red panda incident from this evening?
Go ahead.
The baby is watching the Red Panda movie for the second time. Very strange movie, by the way. Not bad, just weird. And she gets to talking about how we're gonna need to paint our dog black because he turned into a red panda. We gotta paint him black so that mom can be happy. I'm not exactly sure at what point my German Shepherd, black and tan German Shepherd, turned red, but I got some questions.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you.
I just think it's hysterical that Karina automatically assumes that anything of any color has been painted that color.
I don't know if she assumes, but she definitely tells me all the time that I've painted everything.
She told me this morning that you painted her feather diaper for her. I still laugh myself about the time that you thought that diapers actually had feathers in them. And now, ironically, the baby says that her diapers have feathers on them. The design looks sort of like a feather if you're 3 and don't know any better, but it is, in fact, not a feather.
This is my amused face.
I don't even remember why you were talking about diapers having feathers in them.
So when I was a kid, way back when, I was in my room, and I don't even remember. My sister did something and then blamed it on me. So my parents
that sounds about right.
My parents came in, and, like I said, this is back like way early 90s. And
good God, we're old.
So they come in and they spank me for being bad. And this like little fluff ball feather type unit comes out of my diaper and is like whirling to the ground like you'd see in the movies. And my sister saw it and she was like, oh my gosh, he's going to die. I just killed my brother. Like, he's going to die.
Mom and Dad beat the feathers out of him.
Yeah. So I get this phone call while I was at work because
the chaos never ends?
Because Rain and Marnie decided they were going to make a game up where they just push each other around. And you were in the bathroom and you see Marnie come flying through the kitchen doorway and fall down in the living room. And you were telling me. And then she gets up and goes back in the kitchen. And then there's a loud bang from the kitchen, which was apparently Rain getting pushed into the cupboards, to which Rain turns around and shoves Marnie into the doorway and just about knocks her out.
Now, mind you, we're supposed to be unloading and reloading the dishwasher, which last I knew was not a contact sport.
I swear those older two are worse than boys, and they turn everything into a contact sport.
Or a game, or gross.
Yeah, Marnie and her bugs. Marnie is our
Oh my
bug
God.
killer.
Oh my God. Remind me to tell you about the
at
spider.
a pathetic level. Is this in the bathroom?
No.
Oh, because you got a cobweb from the one side of the bathroom to the other almost.
I know. Do you know why that is? Because the last time I vacuumed the cobwebs out of the bathroom, the spider didn't die in the fucking vacuum, and Marnie had to come kill it in the garbage can.
You don't... Did you think the vacuum was going to suck the life out of that spider or something?
I thought
Because
it would
it doesn't
batter it
work
until
that
it died.
way.
It's spinning around like a cyclone in there. I thought it would just die of dizziness.
Yeah, die of boredom. Get sick and puke in the vacuum, maybe.
Yeah, well, this was ugh, yuck. But since you've got me completely off topic, now I can tell you about the spider that came crawling down its web off the ceiling and how I saved the baby's life yesterday. I'm sitting on the couch doing homework or schoolwork, whatever you want to call it, with Rain, and I see this spider on the ceiling.
Let me guess, about a foot in size.
And I'm like,
The size of a basketball.
I don't do spiders. They're all the size of a freaking basketball. So I'm like, that's not good. And it keeps walking, and then it's right over Karina. Like, right over her. And I'm like, just keep fucking walking. Don't you come down here and get this baby. Just keep fucking walking. And he didn't. He started coming right down on the web. So I grabbed your daughter by her shoulder and yanked her out from under the spider and started screaming like a banshee for Marnie, who probably thought the house was on fire. Which, let me tell you, I thought about setting it on fire because she did not catch that spider. I was like, nope, we're done. That's it. We're just going to call the insurance and call it a day because that fucking spider was ridiculous. Typically, spider season around here is like September, October, when it starts to get colder, and all of a sudden there's 10,005 spiders running around. So I don't know what this madness is. It's not March Madness for spiders. Y'all need to chill.
So was that the second time this week you almost died?
Yes, I don't do bugs.
I'm just asking because I also got a text message this week that said that our 3-year-old wanted to play a game of Nazi with her Jewish mom.
It is 8 o'clock in the morning. Mind you, it's like literally like 8:02. Okay, this kid is still in her pajamas and her pee diaper from the night before. And the only thing on this kid's mind is to come into our room and start banging on the bed. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Hey, can we play Nazi? Now I'm fucking awake. I'm like, you want to do what? And the girls from the living room holler in, can we play Yahtzee? And I'm like, I guess so. Anything's better than playing Nazi. Jesus, couldn't we just play freaking robbers or something? My God. Could we play Nazi at 8 o'clock in the morning? What?
I mean, at least the older two explained it, and
I'm
Karina
glad.
didn't try to drag you to the shower. I mean, I guess it could have been a lot worse.
Oh, man. Yeah, so that was a nice wake-up call.
Yeah. Did you see Marnie's pogo stick incident this week?
Yeah, that looked like it was a little jarring.
That kid was jumping on her pogo stick, and she's getting a lot better at it. So,
Well, she had to readjust because her first pogo stick broke, so we bought her a bigger kid model with a stiffer spring in it, so she really had to work for it.
yeah, we had one of the, 40 to 80 pound ones.
Yeah.
And within the first day, she blew the rivet out of the bottom of it.
I think it was a quality issue, not necessarily something that she did.
Right, I do
But
too.
either way, we had to buy her another one.
But it was like, all right, well, you've already destroyed this one, and you're at 70 pounds, so you're already getting closer towards the top.
She was bordering at the top of the
So
weight
it was
class,
like, you
and
know
she
what?
was managing that smaller one pretty well.
Let's
so.
just bump it up. We'll get her the bigger one. She'll have it longer. She loves it anyway. It'll be fine. So she's on this thing jumping, and she's doing very well, and she starts to lose her balance a little bit. So she makes one of those jumps where she goes backwards to try to catch herself. And as she jumped backwards, she just totally lost her balance completely. And she fell and kind of stepped down onto the driveway. Well, when she did, Rain's bike was right there. So she tripped over Rain's bike
Backwards.
as she's falling off this pogo stick. And I swear, this kid did like the most slow motion fall I have ever
It's
seen in
like
my
those
life.
videos where baby or kids are slipping on ice and like it takes them 10 minutes to finally fall. It was kind of like that.
So she stumbles over Rain's bike, falls on her butt, hits both her arms in the driveway, just enough to scrape up the one arm.
Yeah, she scraped
And,
her elbow, but I think her butt was what was really hurting.
well, she stops and looks at me like, "Am I okay?" And I'm like, "You're fine." And then
Yeah,
she
that was
starts
your
crying.
mistake.
And then
You
she starts
talked. You
crying.
should have just not said a word.
And it's like, "All right, Marnie, let me see what hurts." She's like, "My arm." I'm like, "All right, let me see your arm." I'm like, "All right, it's a little scuffed.
One thing
You're
to
fine."
note here is that Marnie's crying is absolutely blood curdling. It doesn't matter if she stepped on a pebble or if she legitimately busted her ass. She has got this very high pitched, terrible screeching sound when she's
When
crying.
she cries, she's all in. She doesn't half-ass it.
No.
She's all in. And another
And
thing
it
is
will hurt your eardrum
that
and immediately incite rage.
that kid is literally a klutz though. Like this isn't her first driveway incident. I remember almost 4 years ago now that kid was on a scooter.
Oh, man.
It was a two-wheel front, one-wheel back scooter, and that kid turned the handlebars without paying attention to what she was doing and fell and smacked her eye off the end of the handlebars, and we had to take her to the emergency room.
That one was rough.
Yeah,
She
I had to leave work for that one.
literally she had a circular mark around her eye from where she smashed her face into the handle on this thing. I called him at work. I was like, "You need to go right now, tell them you're leaving and meet me at the hospital because this kid's losing her ever loving mind."
Yeah, that was
Understandably, I mean, I'd be pretty upset too, but
yeah, that was a good phone call. At least you were in town for that one.
yeah, we were at my parents' house, which is like literally 5 minutes from the hospital, but still.
Yeah. So, my kids are a very interesting bunch.
Yeah.
I come home from work the other day, and what do I find? But four mac and cheese bowls between the counter and the garbage. And I'm like, all right, four kids, four mac and cheese bowls. But let's do the math here. Karina doesn't eat mac and cheese.
Karina doesn't eat, period.
So I'm like, all right. Then I look at the next one, and it's like almost to the top with mac and cheese. I'm like, all right. Well, that was probably Ira or Karina. No, Karina didn't eat any. Okay, that's Ira. So Ira ate some and stopped.
Ira ate 3 bites and decided she was over that and had better shit to do.
I'm like, all right. So then I look. There are two of them smothered in cheese, but completely empty. I'm like, all right, that's Rain. And Marnie doesn't like mac and cheese. I look at the last cup. It is half full of plain noodles. No, nothing else in it. Just
No
plain
cheese.
noodles. So I asked him, I said, what in the world is going on? And Rain goes, well, Marnie gave me her cheese because she doesn't like mac and cheese. I said, if Marnie doesn't like mac and cheese, Marnie shouldn't make mac and cheese. And Marnie goes, no, I do like mac and cheese. I just don't like cheese
The
on it.
cheese, yeah. I like
She goes,
the
so I
mac
gave
part.
it to Rain. And I put salt on my noodles too. They're not just plain noodles. Like, Marnie, please stop making mac and cheese that you don't eat.
Especially because these are like the individually portioned cups that you put in the microwave that, you know, they're not ungodly expensive, but they're definitely more expensive than your typical 33 cents a box mac and cheese.
Our main reason for buying them was for Rain because Rain would eat mac and cheese every day if you let her.
But she was terrible about cleaning up her mess afterwards.
But if you don't supervise her in the kitchen, one, she ends up making a giant mess. Two, she really shouldn't be using the stove on her own anyway, and she needs help draining the noodles. So when mom's running around with the other three kids like a bunch of crackheads and Rain is in the kitchen by herself, she ends up needing help anyway. So it's not like she can do it by herself
It's just
anyway.
not super convenient.
And then she makes a giant mess, and she'll make a whole pan. And mind you, she could probably eat the
Oh,
whole
she
thing.
absolutely can, but it's not a
Usually,
matter of can she, it's a matter of should she.
usually she leaves half of it on the stove, and by that I mean outside the pan on the stove. And so we're like, all right, we're gonna buy you the individual cups. You can just throw them in the microwave, do your thing, eat them with your lunch,
She
and it'll be
also
fine.
doesn't like to mix her mac and cheese all the way when she makes it
She's
on the
got this
stove.
really annoying habit where I come home and I'm like, oh, there's mac and cheese left over, and Kayla will automatically go, well, Rain made it. And it's like, oh,
Never
are you
mind.
kidding me? Because that kid will half mix it just so she can eat chunks of cheese
All the
powder.
cheese.
I'm like, why? What is so enticing about biting into powdered cheese?
Well, it can't just be her because if you look online, on Amazon in particular, you can buy just a whole container of that cheese, that powdered mac and cheese mess.
Like, I understand if you want to add extra in, but to
But
just
mix
not
it,
mix it
yeah.
and have like half plain noodles, like, ugh.
Yep. Like that kid is like, I need super extra all the cheese mac and cheese.
Super extra? That's Ira. Ira is super
Yes, she
extra.
is.
She's got this really bad habit right now where she will look at you and jump on the couch. And you look right at her
And
and you're like,
giggle.
Ira, stop jumping on the couch. I said, sit on your butt. And she will bunny hop across the couch to the other side and then turn and look at you. And you go, Ira, sit on your butt. And that kid jumps in the air and plops down on her butt and just giggles.
Giggles, like absolutely shamelessly giggling as she's looking at you like, I'm sitting.
Yeah. And you turn and you look away. And
And you try your very hardest not to laugh.
5 seconds later, you turn back and look at her, and she's standing. And you go, Ira, sit on your butt. And she will jump back in the air and plop down on the couch. And you look at her and you go, Ira, quit plopping on the couch. Quit jumping on the couch. But she doesn't quite understand what you mean. So she just giggles and gets up and does it again.
Or she launches herself off the end of the couch that doesn't have an arm and onto the dog bed. It's a 50-50 shot whether or not the dog is currently in the dog bed.
Oh
The
my
dog
gosh.
really puts up with a lot of her shit.
I swear, all those kids jump over each other, though.
Uh-huh.
Ira was on the floor throwing a fit because she wanted to go to bed the other night. And Karina walks up, stands next to her, looks at her throwing her fit, and just jumps over her while she's laying on the floor.
Like bunny hopped right over her.
I'm like, all right.
Like, I don't have time for your shit right now, Ira.
I mean, don't walk around her or anything, you know.
She's not that big. Speaking of shit that the dog puts up with, though, we kind of skipped over that. I just would like for you and anybody listening to know that our dog is like the best dog. And I know this because he tolerates Ira and all of her toddler bullshit.
Oh, you mean how Ira walked up to him the other day and poked him in the eye and just goes, "I."
Yes.
It's like, yes, I'm glad you know the parts of your body. I'm glad you know the parts of the dog's body. Please do not touch those parts of the body when you are telling us what they are. I don't need to get poked in the eye while you tell me you know where my eyeball is. Like, I know where it is too, and I like to be able to see out of it. Please don't poke me in the eye.
Well, if you think that's bad, you should have seen what she did to his freaking nostril the other day. The poor dog is laying on the floor, completely dead asleep, not a care in the world, probably dreaming about milk bones. And this baby walks up to him, sits down next to him, gives him a couple of pets, and then promptly stuffs her entire finger up his freaking nose. And I'm like, Ira, no. And she goes, nose. And then the dog sneezes her finger back out. And I'm like, I am done. I give up. I'm done parenting today. This is gross. And the poor dog, he just looks at her after the fact. You know, he's awake now. He's had a brain scan with her fingernail. And he just looks at her like, can I help you? But he didn't even move besides sneezing.
You know why it is he tolerates Ira so much?
Why? Because she's little?
Because she feeds him all the goldfish.
Yes, she does. Actually, you know what? I'll be honest with you. It's Karina that feeds him the goldfish. That kid will ask me for a bowl of goldfish, and she will sit on the couch and launch goldfish at the dog. Ira just feeds him everything else because she'll sit at the table and drop food on the floor for him.
Ira actually sat there and shared goldfish with me. And by that, I mean she screamed until we gave her goldfish, and then she just sat there feeding them to me and wouldn't eat them.
Didn't eat a single fucking one. Yep.
That's how she's been lately. She's been like shoving food away from her lately.
I think she had a growth spurt. And now she's like, I am done eating. I ate way too much in the last 2 weeks. I am done with it. Thank you.
No, I don't know if it's that. Like, it's just like everything.
Yeah,
Like,
well.
she turned away a Rice Krispie treat today.
It was green, though. In her defense, I made green Rice Krispie treats because St. Patrick's Day is coming up. Thought they'd be cute. Both of the babies turned up their noses and said, I am not eating that.
Yeah, Karina ended up eating some, but it was funny because I took a small piece and I put it in my mouth and I'm like, that's really good. And Ira goes, is that good? I said, yeah. I said, do you want some? She goes,
No.
So I tickled her and I stuffed a little piece in her mouth. Like, just tickled her enough just so she'd open her mouth, and I stuck a little piece in there. She goes, ugh. And she sticks her tongue out and she pulls it off her tongue and she goes, open wide, and stuffs it in my mouth. I'm like,
That's
great.
gross.
Thanks for sharing.
Well, Karina ate hers and then she goes, I ate my treat. Now I can have chocolate milk in a big person cup. Because that's what Daddy tells her that she can have anytime she tries a new food. That or ice cream, but tonight it was chocolate milk in a big person cup. And in my head I'm going, you ate marshmallows on cereal with zero nutritional value. But sure, yeah, have some chocolate milk, it's fine.
Yeah, she comes up to me and she goes, I can have chocolate milk in a big person cup. Deal?
Yeah, that's also
Like, no.
something she learned recently.
No deal.
Deal? No.
The other day she tells me, she goes, I can go outside and play with you. Deal? Said, no deal. You need to eat lunch first. Deal? She goes, no deal. We can go outside and play. Deal? Said, no deal.
She is very insistent.
Yeah, that's one word. That's assistant.
Listen, I try to be nice.
Oh my gosh. She is something else.
I mean, really, they're all something else. They're just nuts. Took Rain to the chiropractor's today with me. I mean, I took both Rain and Marnie, but Rain came in first, and so she got to sit in the massage chair with me. Well, Rain's like, what, 4'2"?
Yeah.
The massage chairs are built for adult people. It's not gonna hurt her, but she might get her brain a little bit scrambled when they try to do the neck and it's on the back of her head. She goes, Mom, are the hard plastic parts supposed to hurt like this? And I'm like, well, you're also like 70 pounds and have nothing but muscle on you. So yeah, it's gonna feel a little bit harsher on you than it does on me. She's like, this is terrible. Can I shut the legs part off? Because it has a calf massager. I swear I have not heard this child complain so much in the span of 15 minutes, and I couldn't tell you how long. And I'm just sitting there deep breathing, like yoga breathing, because this is typically the only time that I get to just completely zen out and relax. And here's Rain telling me how awful it is. And I'm like, I need you to just chill. Just sit there and chill. She's like, I can't. This thing is hurting me. I'm like, so get up. She goes, well, I don't want to. Well, then it's probably gonna hurt.
You should know by now that anytime you want to just sit and relax in peace,
Never.
don't bring Rain. Don't bring Marnie.
Don't bring
don't
anybody.
bring Karina. Don't bring Ira. They all have their little quirks.
To be fair, I did try to go in by myself, but then Marnie goes, but my back hurts. And Rain goes, yeah, me too. And in my head, I'm going, well, my everything hurts, so sit down and buckle up.
Every time I sit with Rain and watch a movie, it's the same thing. We will watch something. She'll go, is that this? Is this that? Is this what just happened? I said, Rain, we just watched the same thing. She goes, have you seen this movie before? I said, no.
In
Why
her
did they
defense,
do this? I'm
I
like,
do the same
Rain,
thing. Usually to you.
We've watched the same thing. I saw the same thing that you did. I have not seen this movie before. I don't know what to tell you right now. Just sit back and watch the movie.
See, I am not the type. I'm like her. I'm not the type to just sit there and watch the movie, especially if it's something somewhat suspenseful. I am the one that will
You are
Google
the annoying
ending.
person that gets on their phone in the middle of the movie to go, I don't feel like waiting. Let me see how this ends. Oh, this is going to be sad. Can we watch something else?
No, to be honest with you, I typically don't say anything when I Google the ending. I just look it up, and then I can sit there and chill out for the rest of the movie. Because otherwise, I'm bouncing out of my seat in anticipation, waiting to see what happens.
Yes. God forbid we watch a movie.
I can't do it. I would much rather go into the movie knowing how it ends. I did the same thing when I was watching 1883. I was like, is this bitch about to die? Yup, this bitch is about to die. Shit. Well, I guess I can just sit here and watch the rest now. I know what's happening. I am much more comfortable watching movies and TV shows if I know how it's going to end. Because then I can theorize how we get from where we are now to the ending that I know is coming.
I guess I'm just like, I don't know, most
Normal.
Americans that just watch movies and see how they end.
Normal. Yeah, I know. Thought I heard a kid.
I hope not. It's after 8. It's after 9. It's well into bedtime. I don't feel like adulting right now.
No, me neither. I mean, we're bordering on our bedtime now.
That's the truth. Any other notable moments from this week? I did have to explain to our kids that Ira, as much as she laughs and giggles, is not built like they are.
No. She's 2 feet tall.
So I went out with
Maybe
the
3
kids.
now, I don't know.
I went out with the kids and played in the snow. We had to wait a day because we got that snowstorm. It was like 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah,
And
it
you
was
look
like 18
outside.
degrees out.
You look outside, you can't even see across the road, and Karina's going, we need to go outside and play.
Yeah, right.
I said, you're going to play in the neighbor's yard because it's going to blow you away. We need to stay inside. So finally, after the wind died down, I took them outside, and the kids broke the string on the sled and
Again?
retied it to the sled. So now instead of being on the front of it, it's on the back of it.
That's not helpful.
So when they sit in it, there's nothing for them to kind of lean back on.
Right.
So I was just taking Karina gently up and down the driveway. Because the other thing is, it's not tied in the middle. It's tied off to the side. So the whole thing like does this diagonal slide as you're pulling them through the
Beautiful.
driveway. So I'm pulling Karina, and Marnie's like, I want to go next. I'm like, I don't know, Marnie. I'm like, Karina doesn't weigh that much. It's really, like, I don't know that the string will take it. So
Yeah, we need to get a new string for that thing.
pull Karina up to the top of the driveway, and Marnie gets in. She's like, you got to pull me. I'm like, all right,
Okay.
fine, whatever. So I'm pulling her, and I kept taking it, and I would just, like, stretch all the way out and then pull it towards me real quick, like pull start in a lawnmower.
Oh, God.
And drag her, like,
trying to throw her out of it.
5 feet at a time, and she thought it was great.
Oh, yeah, I bet. That would be why we had to go see the chiropractor today.
No, that isn't quite why. So I turn them around, and I take her back up, and Rain's like, all right, you gotta take me up and down the driveway also. So I'm like, all right. So Rain gets in, and the first thing I did was I wrapped the string around the sled and back towards me, because she got in, she's facing the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So I pull it, and that kid spins 270 degrees like that, and just zips right around, comes falling out of it. She thought it was like the greatest thing ever.
Naturally.
So then I yank her down the driveway, and I take her, and I rip her back around and rip her up. And Marnie's like, oh, you got to do that to me.
That was a game.
Yeah. So I get all done. I'm like, all right, I'm going inside. And Rain's like, I got to go inside and get new gloves. I'm like, here, you can have mine. So I give Rain my gloves, and I come inside, and I look out the window. And Ira is in the sled, and they are now doing that to Ira. They are tugging and ripping her up the driveway and then ripping her around in a circle. And I'm like, girls, Ira is 2.
And just little.
There's nothing behind her to hold her in the sled. Please stop whipping that kid through the driveway and just pull her around nicely.
Nicely.
Like, I get it.
Driving
She's laughing.
Miss Daisy, just chill.
She's laughing, but, like, for how long?
Well, yeah, because she's a little savage and she just doesn't care.
She was actually being really nice when I was pulling Karina up the driveway. She came over and grabbed the rope and started helping me pull Karina up the driveway.
I bet she did.
Yeah, she did. She was walking in front, and Rain's pushing Karina from the backside. I almost didn't have to do anything.
Well, there you go.
You look tired or
Face is
something.
leaking. Yeah, I keep swatering because I'm tired.
Oh, I thought the yawning meant that you were tired.
Well, yeah, I yawn and then my eye waters. I'm not really sure what the correlation is, but see, there it is.
I don't know. You Google everything else? Google that.
Well, you told me I had to put my phone away.
Well, yeah. Sheesh.
Anything else notable you wanted to touch on yourself?
I don't think so. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
We had some random people walked through the shop selling flowers this week.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise.
Yeah, so brought some of them home, and now Karina wants to keep taking them out.
Every few hours, Mom, can I get out a rose for you? No, they gotta stay in there so they don't die. But it won't die. I won't let it die. Okay, but if you take the flower out of the water, it's gonna die.
Right. It's not necessarily even the taking it out of the water. It's when you take it out of the water and you go sprinting through the house and then you give it to Ira. Like,
And
it's
then
gone.
Ira puts it
It's
down,
gone.
and then the dog eats it. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. That dog eats everything, though.
Mm-hmm.
Apples, potatoes,
Strawberry ends.
celery,
Scrunchies.
goldfish, chips. I'm surprised he's not fat yet.
Just dense.
Dense.
Well, you'd be surprised. You call his name and you throw about anything at him and he'll eat it. One of the kids left a half-eaten banana on the counter earlier. I said, well, we're not wasting that, so I took it out of the peel, threw it at the dog, and he ate it. I'm not sure he even tasted it, to be honest. I threw it and it was gone. Blink of an eye.
Do you know what probably one of the most annoying things that dog does? That would be when I get out of the shower and I get my towel on and everything, and he starts licking my feet.
He thinks it is his personal
like,
responsibility to dry you
You
off.
have an entire bowl of water. Why are you licking my feet?
He's just trying to help you.
Help me what?
Dry off.
Yeah, no.
I think it's funny that when he does that to me, he'll wait until after I put lotion on, and then he starts licking. And I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, it is gross. You'd think that the film on his tongue would stop him doing it, but it doesn't. Very strange dog. He's a good boy, though. He did really good not trying to eat anybody or any other dogs while we were at the park today.
That's good.
He barked at one lady twice, though, because she passed us going one direction and then again in the other direction. And both times he stopped and raised his fur and barked at her. And she just chuckled and kept walking. And I'm like, I don't think that's a good thing, because you're the only one that he's barked at like that
Right.
all day.
Yeah, I mean, they say they're a good judge of character.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the lady that got Hansel and Gretel.
Something. He was not having it.
All right, well, I suppose we should wrap this up and get some sleep.
Yeah, my alarm will be going off momentarily.
Yeah, we got a long day anyway tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a long week.
Usually.
All right, well, we're going to call that a night.
Have a good one. Thanks for listening. Make
Thanks.
sure that you follow and like and subscribe and all that other happy horse shit.
Yeah, thanks for listening.